Hello and welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Conn. I'm joined all the way from Warsaw.
You can use that this time.
by
Valid.
Keith Jackson and Scott McDermott, guys. How's it going?
Okay, welcome to the biggest press room in world football. It's about the size of two pitches.
I thought it was a bit tight.
I don't know if you can see behind us there.
That's all. That's just the press room.
Yeah, and it stretches that way as well. The other side of the camera, it's quite a thing.
What the hell? I thought the one at Hamden's big, but that's remarkable.
Yeah.
How's it going? How's the weather?
Freezing,
Aye.
wet, grey,
Baltic.
just horrible.
Nice city though.
It's lovely. Well, do you know what? And I'm ashamed to say it. Today was the first time, and I've been to Warsaw on many occasions. It's the first time I actually went down to the old town. It was really lovely, just like authentic Poland. But it's not authentic Poland because they actually rebuilt the thing. It got demolished during the war, but they rebuilt it kind of brick for brick, and just in a different part of town. Beautiful, really, really nice. And we had a nice wee walk down there and a bit of food, didn't we? It was nice and romantic, Scott.
It's lovely.
That's lovely. That's really cute. That's lovely. This is like.
It was going very well when we go on our travels, you know what I mean?
It's for
I should
Euro tour.
should thank everyone for joining us on the Hotlines travel vlog. There is actually you're over there for some football. I'm led to believe tomorrow night.
Always gets in the way.
Is that a game?
Right, before we go into tomorrow night's game, shall we have a chat about the win over Croatia on Friday night? Because it was a long-awaited win, a win we've been starved of, but one that I think we definitely deserved in the end. Is that fair?
Yeah, and one that two of us saw coming, even though you didn't believe it, Dan.
Yep.
I think if you run the tape back, I said 1-0 McGinn.
Aye, right.
Do you know something? Steve Clark nailed it afterwards as well. He didn't get too carried away. He said, look, see, to be honest with you, that's the worst we've played in the Nations League, and it's the one time we've got a win, which just goes to show the sort of nuances and the fine line, fine margins in international football. Do
you guys agree with that though? Because I heard him say that.
Yeah, I think it was right.
Do you think so?
First half, certainly.
Well, certainly. See the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, we were a yard off. We were a yard off them. All over the pitch. The press wasn't right. When we did get the ball, we didn't retain it. We were sloppy in possession. We were giving it away. 2 or 3 times they broke on us because of that, because we gave the ball away when we were in possession of it. We didn't look like ourselves. And I was wondering, you're looking at it going, wonder if we'll make a change at half-time and try and get McGinn on. And in fact, he did make a change at half-time, but it was one that nobody saw coming, which was McKenna for Hanley.
But that helped us.
It did help us. And, here's the thing, right? And we all like to think that we're experts and we watch a lot of football. I think 99.9% of everybody inside the stadium just assumed that Hanley had a niggle of some sort, and he's made the change for that reason. In fact, it was Craig Gordon said afterwards, made that change because we wanted to influence what we were doing going forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's made that tactic. It was a tactical substitution in order to give the team a better balance, in order to give us more threat going forward from the starting position.
And it also allowed us. It also allowed us to push up the pitch because with
McKenna's
pace, you can start higher up, and that was crucial. That actually allowed us to start dictating the game.
Yeah.
No, Gilmer got a hold of the ball, started dictating it. We were further up. We were in their half. You're right. I mean, that change, it seemed like a kind of subtle one at the time, but I think it made a massive difference.
Well, do you know what? So the first 15, 20 minutes, I don't think we're anywhere near it. But the comfort that I got was I'm looking at, we are so well drilled, so well organised, that even though we weren't playing particularly well, I didn't feel we were in any serious danger. Yep, there were 2 or 3 times when they get forward, we had to defend our area well. But the numbers that we were getting back into positions, into defensive positions, I just thought we looked really secure. I knew we weren't playing very well. But as that game went on, I started thinking, I think we're going to get on top of this. And obviously the red card changed things just before half-time.
And you also knew, even when we weren't playing well, you knew that if we could just get the ball to Doak,
he'll do something will happen. Well, Scotty, this is the interesting thing. So I'm watching Ben Doak, and I'm watching him very, very carefully because he's up against Gvardiol. And Gvardiol had his pants pulled down in Zagreb by that wee guy in the previous game a month earlier. And I thought, well, this will be really interesting. I want to see how he approaches this. And see, I watched the first 10, 15 minutes really closely, even when the ball wasn't anywhere near the pair of them. Guardiola was physically intimidating him. He was bullying him. He was all over. I mean, Ben Doak was up to his armpit when he was jumping at full height. So it looked to me like a mismatch. And it looked to me as if Guardiola was saying to himself, I'm not letting this boy do what he did to me. That's not going to happen again. And I feared for Ben Doak for 15 minutes. And then I think it was the 18th minute, he drops a shoulder, lets the ball through his legs, turns him, gets in behind him, and Guardiola was shaking like the proverbial dog, which is in desperate need of for the rest of the match. He had him on absolute toast from that minute on. So much so that by the end, when in the last 10 or 20 minutes of the match,
Guardiola wasn't getting near him.
Well, Guardiola was there, and Ben Doak was saying to him, you know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. Try stop me. And he just dropped a shot and went his outside, and he got past him 3 or 4 times to the byline. There was nothing Guardiola could do. This is an £80 million defender, by the way. Yeah. And he could not cope with him. He could not live with him. He was getting roasted, annihilated. And if that doesn't make people excited about the prospects of the Scotland side moving forward, I don't know what will. You couple that up with Billy Gilmore dominating the midfield when Luka Modric is in the opposition. These are 2 young boys that we're going to have, another more than 10 years?
Yep.
These
two, right?
Then you throw in Lewis Ferguson, then you throw in
Lennon
Miller,
Nathan Patterson, Hickey.
Yep.
Because I think there was a feeling, do you know what, this has been a great run for Scotland. What happens when Andy Robertson and McGinn and these guys start to get the wrong side of 30 and it all catches up with them? Well, this is what happens. We pass over to this new generation. There is every reason to be so excited about this Scotland side. And I'm telling you now that in Doak and Gilmore, they're probably going to be the best of the lot. I genuinely have expectations that in 5 years' time, we're talking about them as world-class operators.
And that almost contradicts the kind of narrative at the moment.
I don't think we've not got any players.
We've got
loads of players.
But I suppose the way you look at it is if Steve Clarke genuinely believes that there's not enough young talent coming through. And listen, the stats and the facts and the figures are there. There aren't enough Scottish players playing in our top flight. But what that should tell you is, look at what we're producing. If things are that bad, and we're still producing a Gilmour and a Patterson and a Lennon.
I'll take another view of that, right? Yes, the stats do look bad. But you ask yourself, why? Why is it that we don't have Billy Gilmore playing in Scottish football? Why don't we get Ben Doak playing up here? Yeah. Why is Lewis Ferguson? And because other countries are now seeing they are producing players, and we're just going to come and take them. And there's nothing that we can do about that. But as long as we're still producing that level of player, and that they're attracting interest from some of the biggest leagues in the world, happy days. Happy days. This Scotland side, I'm telling you, and I don't know if you really believed it, Daniel, but I was saying game after game in this section, we're improving. We don't look anything like the team that limped away from the Euros with its tail between its legs. We were just borderline embarrassing at that tournament because Steve Clarke was desperate to keep the handbrake on us. And this was a tournament, by the way, where other teams were being rewarded for being brave. We went the opposite way, and that's why there was such a frustration and probably a bit of anger about how that tournament worked out for us. Steve Clarke was angry. He didn't like being criticised. But I tell you what, he listened because this is a different Scotland.
Yeah,
when he's come back and he's almost reinvented this team. Okay, largely with the same faces. It's a different approach, a different mentality. We're a different Scotland, and I could feel that win was going to come for us.
And that's why if Steve Clarke ever had mojo, he's got it back now, because he knows he can see these players coming through. There was a lot of doom and gloom after the Euros, even for him. I mean, he disappeared for about 3 or 4 months. Do you know what I mean? Before MD got to speak to him again. But I think he's looked at the squad. He's looked at Doak in particular. What he can bring is in terms of something different. As you say, he didn't like the criticism, Steve Clarke, at the time, but he's went away and thought about it and changed the shape. Changed a bit of the personnel. There's a bit of freshness,
it's the mental approach.
It's
the mental approach that he's changed. And I thought there was a real danger after the Euros that the players were getting fed up.
I was the same.
I thought the players were thinking, I'm not sure I want this as much as they all enjoy being together. Bottom line is, every time they go to a tournament, every time they have a bit of success, the handbrake's on them. They're not allowed to go out and perform. And Steve Clarke has had to have a leap of faith, I think, a little bit, in terms of just let them go and play a little bit. Just let them go. Let them go and do what their instincts tell them to do. And you cannot find a better example of that than Ben Doak.
You see the thing with Doak, right? You can't underestimate. See, as a player, and I mean even the top players like an Andy Robertson or John McGinn, cannot underestimate how much a boost it will be for them, knowing we've got this kid in the team. If we get the bottom, something's going to happen.
Well,
we can get by a Gvardiol, we can get to the bye. Like, honestly, because Scotland, as much as we've been a really good team, like the great campaign we had to get to the Euros, it was a McTominay or a McGinn. You were relying on time and time again. No easy for central midfielders to go and get 5, 6, 7 goals in a campaign.
Yeah,
honestly, these boys will be looking at Doak thinking,
well,
this is a gift from
God.
Let's
get it right. Doak's got to polish up some stuff.
Oh, of course.
In the final third, his deliveries, his decision making.
Of course.
He's got to get himself some goals. But all these things will fall into place.
He's just turned 19.
All these things will fall into place over time. He's only going to get better. And right now, he's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And I tell you another thing, if you're a centre midfield player, Scotty, and you've got that wee boy, it makes you look good. Because the easiest ball in the world is just one over the top. Just chip it, a wee sand wedge over the top and let him, the wee whip it, get on you. And it makes you look like a player. So that's another reason for midfield players to enjoy playing. I have to tell you, having said that, I can count, I think, 3 or 4 passes in that second half against Croatia from Billy Gilmore, which just went through the Croatian defence like a hot knife through butter. Beautiful, weighted. One of them was disguised, put Andy Robertson in the left-hand side. Another one, I think, put Doak in. It was, I mean, honestly, sumptuous stuff. And you're looking at that and you're going, is this Scotland? Is this Scotland we're watching? Because... No, seriously. I mean, I've been watching Scotland. I've been touring about Europe watching Scotland for since what?
Since the 50s.
Aye. So see. I mean, and there have been points. Craig Brown's team that got to France '98. Some really good players in there, but that was more about dogged determination, a will to fight for each other. It was the old kind of Scottish grit type thing. There were some good individuals, obviously, within that. But see, now you're looking at it. I'm so excited about the quality that we've got. I think we're a really enjoyable team to watch now.
Let me hit you with a couple of comments, guys, that have come in. Gareth Stewart echoes what you're saying on Doak. Liverpool have a baller in Ben Doak. Salah's long-term replacement potentially, and he's Scotland's Gareth Bale. Gordon Morrison says, Suter won is the game.
Salah's replacement in the new Bale.
Rolled into one.
Gordon Morrison, Suter won is the game, and the boy Doak looks very, very good as well. And John Doyle, Scotland were excellent on Friday. Bringing on a player of John McGinn's calibre made all the difference. But let me finish with this one. Jeffrey, watching live on YouTube, says, we were lucky. They got a red card. We were far from good. And the first thing I'd ask, guys, did you both think it was a red card?
Yeah, I did. I don't know what the fuss was about.
I did at the time.
Agree,
I've not seen it back.
No, by the way, bear in mind, he's on a booking now. I'm not sure. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I haven't looked back on it. I don't remember having any qualms with the original booking. I think he chopped down Billy Gilmore. I think it was a yellow card all day long. And the second one, he's a mile late. Do you know what? He should have been sent off for utter stupidity. You don't make a tackle like that when you're on a yellow card. That was just brainless. And by the way, brainless or not, it was a solo one. It caught him. So no, I really don't understand. Even Steve Clark did say, you wouldn't have been too pleased had that been against Scotland. But for me, I don't see why anybody could have any qualms with it. It was 2 bookings all day long.
Alistair McNeil writes in saying, if Modric and Ronaldo don't win games they expect to, they throw big tantrums and toys at the pram, always complaining to the ref. There's something right, and this might be, you can call it a small Scottish mind mentality or whatever, but something gets me really buzzing thinking about 3 Ballon d'Or winners have all left Hampden in the last 12 months, absolutely raging. And Rodri, Modric and Ronaldo.
See what you're saying there, Daniel, about the kind of caller saying about these guys. That's because they're winners. No,
yeah.
See all the morning, the tantrum, they just hate you.
Can't take it. Aye.
They cannot take it. And part of you has to admire that.
I wouldn't mind a few of our boys feeling the exact same way.
Exactly.
I can do with it, especially Ronaldo. Ronaldo bothers me. And I don't think when it's Ronaldo that it's about the team. It's about Ronaldo.
Whereas
Modric, at least, he really cares. We talked about it last week, how much he cares to represent Croatia and how much the collective means, and why he's willing to swap the kind of glamour and the riches of life as a Real Madrid superstar to go back to Zagreb whenever, wherever he's needed, he's there. So it's slightly different.
So one of the viewers wrote in there, guys, mentioning John McGinn coming off the bench, obviously, to score the winner. Tomorrow night's game against Poland, do you anticipate many changes? You mentioned McKenna maybe Keith staying in. There's McGinn.
I think there'll be three, maximum three. I think you want to get McGinn back into the starting lineup. I don't think you want to leave him out 2 games in a trot, especially when he's come off the bench to score the winner. Yeah. I think McGinn will come back in. I think that could mean Ryan Christie sits this one out from the bench. That's what I would think, and that would allow him to get McGinn and McTominay into the team. Also, and maybe in more advanced areas, I think he'll go with Lyndon Dykes for his physicality. So you could have McGinn and McTominay kind of trying to join in and play around what Dykes might win in the air. I think McKenna could come in for Grant Hanley. Would make sense to me, actually, given how, I thought that McKenna and sort of look rock solid, Scott. Don't they look like a good partnership?
I thought so. I mean, Grant Hanley's not playing games in it.
15 minutes or something for Norwich.
I think we need to be looking at McKenna playing every week in La Liga, Suter playing every week for Rangers. I think we need to try and forge that partnership and get them as many games together. And I thought McKenna was so impressive when he came on the other night. He has to start.
Would you have any other changes
Poland
that you see?
I don't think so. I know how much he loves Christie.
Mm-hmm. He does love Christie.
So to put him out, McGinn, Kenny McLean could come out as well. I mean, me and Keith were talking about it earlier on, and I know he does want McGinn further forward. So Christie should want him. Be the natural.
He should want him further forward as well. Well, what you could do is you could put Christie as deeper. And put McGinn further forward because Christie plays that position now.
I was going to say that he does that for Bournemouth, doesn't he?
But having said all that, do you know something about Steve Clarke? He has got his favourites. He loves Kenny McLean, and not without reason. Kenny McLean, by the way, has been one. There's not been major tweets, but Kenny McLean was a bench player. Yeah, Kenny McLean has now made himself a first pick. And by the way, every game he's played, you don't always notice everything he does. He's not one of these players that, his hands in there screaming for attention. He goes about and he does his work, and he actually provides Billy Gilmour with a brilliant foil in there.
Plays well with Gilmour. Nice balance, similar to what Callum McGregor gave Gilmour. That right foot or left foot on midfield. And I agree. I think Dykes probably will start up front again. I thought he made an impact. I felt a wee bit for Tommy Conway because he deserved his start.
And he didn't get any service, did
he? He's obviously started the game. The first half was the worst period in the game for us. He couldn't get into the game. He's a totally different player for Dykes. I think you need to play to Tommy Conway's strengths, and we weren't doing that at all. And again, Clarke loves Dykes, knows he can rely on him. An away game, when at times you're going to need to get up the park.
You need to have a focus. Yeah, focal point. He's your runway, isn't he?
I think
just find him.
I think you'll feel Dykes will get us up there.
That's not a disaster for Tommy Conway either, by the way, because all it means is that they share the load. Dykes will start as it flips it over from the last one. Dykes will need to do the hard work, the physical stuff up against the Polish defence for 60 minutes, 70 minutes, and then when they're tired, Conway gets a chance to come on and make a difference with his pace. So.
I don't anticipate him to start, although I'd love to see him start. But I thought Ryan Gauld was really good when he came on the other night. I thought he stood out. Aye,
but you can do as a sub coming on. No, it doesn't matter how long you're on for. When you come on, all you can do is try and impact it, try and influence the team, make the team better. And I thought Ryan Gauld did that.
He's done it every time he's come on. So Ryan Gauld has come in from. He wasn't even on the fringes. Let's be honest. He wasn't on the fringes.
Steve Clarke ignored them.
He's come in from nowhere, and he's now one of the guys that you'd say, right, okay, you're probably not going to start if we've got a fully fit first 11, but you'll be one of my first subs because you've proven in the short space of time in your little cameo roles, you look equipped for this, you look ready for this. Yep. And he should be delighted about that because, I mean, there's a guy that's came from nowhere and is now right on the kind of the verge of the first 11.
I thought I put a slight dampener on it because of that. do find yourself asking, why is he not been in before?
Aye, I know. I was going to say that.
Years went by when everybody was saying he deserved a chance, and Steve Clarke just ignored him. He wasn't interested in the MLS or what he was doing.
I know, but there is an element. Listen, okay, maybe we're not well enough off to say, well, MLS really, but I think there is still an element of that. MLS is where players go to wind down and to, fill a pension pot.
But Gold has proved in the last few games he could have done a job for us.
100%. Do
you know what I mean?
100%.
I was looking, guys, at the permutations ahead of tomorrow night, because obviously it could have implications for a World Cup qualifying pot. I think I'm right in saying right now we're in pot 3, but if things go for us, we could even end up in pot 1 if we win by 2 clear goals, and Portugal beat Croatia by 2 goals. Look, the bottom line is
it's a 3-goal swing.
Aye, the bottom line is we need to win.
3-goal swing. Aye. We need to win, and we need Portugal to win, and then we can count the goals.
We're going to be in the press box with the abacuses and calculators and all that tomorrow.
Well, it's a bit gutting that they've left out Ronaldo. They've sent Ronaldo up the road, Bruno Fernandes.
I'll tell you the worst bit about it.
Right.
I'll tell you the worst bit.
I know
who they've called in.
Fabio Silva.
Can you imagine our hopes rely on a Portugal goal with 10 minutes to go, and Fabio Silva's 1-on-1 with the keeper?
Typical Scotland, isn't it? We'll miss it because Fabio Silva's missed a sitter.
He'll not shoot. He'll throw himself up in the air, do a triple sulco. When all he has to do is hit the empty net, he'll try and get a penalty. You can just, that bit worries me. You know how these certain quirks get thrown up from time to time? Fabio Silva leading Portugal's attack when we need them to score a goal is actually quietly terrifying.
Aye.
He'll probably do it with madness because he thinks he got a hard time off us.
Before I touch on some domestic stuff, guys, predictions. How do you think it'll go tomorrow night?
I think we've went for the same again.
We have again, yeah.
Totally.
You guys are too cute.
Just shows you how in sync.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
So we've both gone 1-0 Scotland.
Who's going to score?
McTominay
or Dykes. Or maybe both. Maybe we will get to it our end. We need 3. By the way, I'm not ruling. I know that this is a long shot. I know that the data crunchers and the supercomputers and the boffin, you give me a percentage of what. But so yeah, long shot, right? But I think it's more possible than people actually realise, because I do think that we're going to beat Poland. We've just been in, listening to the Polish press conference in there. They're not happy campers in there. They are not happy campers. They got an absolute 1,000 of Portugal last week, and the players were coming off the pitch getting selfies taken with Ronaldo. There are people in that room that you can actually feel the sort of simmering resentment to what. Now, we've been in rooms like that with Scotland on very many occasions, so I know exactly what it feels like. These guys, this doesn't feel great for them. We're the absolute flip of that. We're coming into this, and here's something to think about, right? We've gone into this group, first time ever in the kind of top league of the Nations League. 3 games in, 0 points, 0 from 9, and then you could end up in a run where we take 7 points from our last 3. So 0 from 9 from the first half of the campaign, 7 from 9 for the second. Now that tells you that the team's progressing. It tells you that they're learning. I know that I'm factoring in 3 points that we haven't won yet, but I genuinely think we'll get a result here. Fingers crossed it's going to be a win, and then more fingers and toes crossed that Portugal haven't just decided to take the night off. I'd like to think they wouldn't. And by the way, okay, granted, Fabio Silva, but you would like to think that the other guys that are coming in getting a chance have got something to prove, and they've got no shortage of talent.
In terms of Poland, obviously Lewandowski's missing, which has to be a bonus.
Yeah.
And as Keith said, I just think we're coming into it. We've just started building a wee bit of momentum again, the same kind of momentum we
had at the start of the qualifiers.
It feels that way, and I don't think this place is it's a beautiful stadium, by the way, but I don't think it's a daunting place to play football. I think they like
there is a nice atmosphere. They get right up for it. But that could be affected badly by the fact that
what was he scored early?
I think they've also said Poland have had 1-1 in the last 8 games. I think now. And I think, okay, granted, that came against us. but
the game they shouldn't have won.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
So, and they're leaking goals. I'm telling you, it's not a happy camp. So that might affect the atmosphere. Because when the locals here in Warsaw, when they're up for it, it is noise. I mean, it's noisy as anything. I think tonight, when we came at the stadium, the roof was closed. And it's cold and it's wet. So if it's closed again tomorrow night for kick-off time, that brings another level of noise into the place. But, you know, if the home fans are turning up here feeling fairly disenchanted by what they've been watching, then we might not be walking into a real kind of hostile environment. It's one of these environments that can become more hostile for the home side than for the away side if we get off to a good start. Yeah. And listen, guys like Billy Gilmour and Tommy are now playing in Napoli. They know what a big atmosphere.
Game in the San Siro
They know what an atmosphere feels like. So I've got no worries on that front. But I'd put it this way: we're not going to freeze here, and not on the pitch. We might freeze up in the stands if they do open that roof.
Time is getting away from us, guys. Domestically, I want to touch on Connor Goldson, because if anyone hasn't read it, in today's Sunday Mail, it's on Record Sport Online as well. Scott, you had a brilliant exclusive with Connor Goldson. It's essential reading for any Rangers fans. A lot of, I don't even know where to start actually, a lot of really interesting comments from.
He was brilliant. Just really honest and open. Daniel, I don't think he's spoken since leaving Rangers, and no, it did make me realise I hadn't really thought about it too much. But you think a guy 6 years service at Rangers, a European final, league title, and basically, he boards a flight to Birmingham for a friendly, and before he knows it, he doesn't get to play in the game. He's away to sign for a club in Cyprus, effectively because the club have told him, "We want you to go."
And I thought, Scott, sorry to jump in, but I just thought it was interesting. Okay, he was told we want you to go, but it wasn't Clement.
No, I know.
That's really interesting, I thought.
No, and also he'd signed it wasn't that long before that, he'd signed a new long-term deal. I think Connor says in the piece, they gave me a new contract when I was at my prime, and 18 months to 2 years later, they decided they didn't want to fulfil that contract. So, as we spoke about Rangers so much in the last few weeks and what's going on since the summer, and again, it just kind of feeds into that, that kind of negativity in terms of what's going on behind the scenes.
I'm interested, Scott. Obviously, we've been over here, so I've not really had the chance to read it properly. But when he says it wasn't Clement who made that decision, the information that we were getting before the end of last season was that Clement was going to change the leadership group, they called it. That suggests to me that Clement had made a decision. Now, whether or not he was the guy that actually fronted up and told Connor Goldson that was his decision, that's another thing entirely. But as far as I could see, moving into the summer, I fully expected Connor Goldson to leave, because Philip Clement had made it clear to the guys on the recruitment side that he wanted a new leadership.
I probably thought the same, but he was adamant. He was adamant that Clement was great with him. I mean, he was meant to start that friendly at Birmingham before he left. He was honest enough to admit last season wasn't his best season, and I think he said I think he got dropped for the Scottish Cup semi-final against Hearts, and he said it was the right decision for the manager, because he looked absolutely shattered. He knew that himself. I mean, when he basically said one person decided behind the scenes that he was leaving Rangers, and I immediately thought of James Bisgrove, who was the chief exec, but I think James Bisgrove had left Rangers for Saudi at that point, so...
We've got a removal man in here, by the way.
I was going to say, it's getting busy.
Exactly who it was, listen, we don't know, but someone behind the scenes at Rangers decided Connor Goldson's time was up, and he didn't want that to be the case. 31-year-old, he was still adamant that he could have contributed to Rangers this season, and I have to say, watching Rangers this season, even though Goldson did have his critics, and he admits last season wasn't up to his usual standard, having watched Rangers a lot this season, I think Goldson probably could have contributed.
Well, he's better than Robin Proper.
Well, on that very note, we've had...
Would you not believe it? Are you going to have an argument about
that? You're probably...
On that very note, we've had several comments and on the piece, Scott. This one from John Donoghue, who says, "I have no problem letting Goldson go at first, but replacing him with Robin Proper. If we didn't have an adequate replacement, Goldson shouldn't have gone anywhere in the summer." Carol Porter, you can say what you want about Goldson, but the truth is he's still better than anything we currently have on the books at Ibrox at the moment, without a doubt. Chris McGlinshire, though, counters it by saying, let's be honest here, it's no wonder they wanted him out. Prior to the new contract, he was pimping himself out in the summer. No club wanted him. He then professed his love for Rangers and said he couldn't leave. Nah, pal, literally no other club wanted you and you had no choice. So, quite a lot of strong responses.
See, with the Proper thing, Daniel, listen, Keith's right. Goldson looks a better player than Robin Proper. But this goes back to Philippe Clement and the Rangers board talking about rebuilds and rejuvenating the squad and stuff like that. It wasn't a rebuild, it was a downgrade. That's what happened.
It was a cost-cutting exercise.
Exactly. Robin Proper will be cheaper than Connor Goldson in terms of wages. They were told when they signed that he'd been a captain before, he was going to come into the leadership group and be that Goldson replacement, but he's struggling to get a start. I mean, Leon Balogun's now ahead of him in the pecking order at centre back. So I think that's a clear example.
I can't believe this. Nice. They just did a live broadcast here.
They just went on Hotline Live.
They're only human. Well, look, actually, to be fair, we're almost out of time, to be fair, but...
Tell you what, though.
Go on.
Tell you what. That stuff that Scotty did with Goldson in the Sunday Mail today was only part one.
That's what I was going to say.
Tomorrow's paper, don't you?
The record tomorrow, yep. Which is quite interesting, again, talking about Steven Gerrard's time at Rangers, the transition into Gio van Bronckhorst. Again, he's quite critical of how the Rangers board didn't quite heed some of the warnings that Gerrard put out when they won the title in 2021. So, that'll be it tomorrow. So, have a read.
I mentioned it earlier, and I know I sound like I'm blowing smoke, and I'm probably a bit biased because, you know, you're part of the Dream Hotline team, but it's a great piece and it's essential reading for Rangers fans. So, part two in tomorrow's Daily Record Sport Online. Guys, I think I've taken up too much of your time as it is. Thank you very much, as usual.
I need to go and do some work now.
Fingers crossed for a cracker of a game tomorrow, although I think I'll be speaking to you before the game tomorrow, is that right?
I would imagine that you probably will, Daniel.
Absolutely brilliant.
I'll have a word with the local removal men and just see if we can get the work done before we come on.
Excellent. And I'm sure you'll be able to find a nice wee, like a church or a museum tonight just to keep busy.
Oh yes, yeah.
I'm sure there'll be. I think there's a couple of watering holes next to the hotel. We might venture.
No, I think you'll find that we've had a lovely walk down the Old Town today, and very historical part of Poland, and there's so much more to learn about it. That's what I fully intend to do.
On that note, thanks for all your comments and thanks for watching at home, and we'll be back tomorrow. Cheers.
Cheers, Daniel.